Hello, my name's Daniel G. Wilson, and this is DGAW Interviews. Today, I will be interviewing David Norman. Hi, David.
Hi there.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well. It's my day off, so just relaxing.
Excellent, excellent. Alright, to start off this interview, I have to ask you, sci-fi.
Is that a question in itself?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely enjoy science fiction. I'm a big sucker for the 80s stuff. When I was growing up, I used to just record movies on VHS tapes off of TV. So I did a lot of science fiction movies back then and just realized how good they were. Just apply that to my record label. And I don't think I do that with my blog at all. So yeah, that's, start with that.
Well, speaking of sci-fi, I mean, the name of your record label is Screamo Beach. You take that, you're inspired to name it, it's named after a, what exactly is Screamo Beach? I know it's from Starship Troopers, but is it a place, is it the name of a character, what is it?
Well, apparently it's a place that they talk about at the beginning of the movie. The family talks about going on a vacation to Screamo Beach. So we don't really know much about it besides it's part of the Outer Rings, and then I guess the arachnids destroy it during the movie, so it's no longer a place, but apparently it was a place.
Cool. Cool. Would you say that that description sums up your record label?
No, not really. That was something that I thought of when I was in university to use as a record label name, but I mean, I didn't start a record label for more than 10 years, so my tastes definitely shifted during that time. So it was more of just a name that I always wanted to use, but I guess it doesn't really hold any reference or associations to the kind of music that's released on the label.
Alright. Now, when did you start Screamo Beach Records?
Screamo Beach started, I think it was like September of 2013, but I didn't receive the first records until, I don't know, like somewhere like October or November of 2013, so at some point around that time.
What inspired you to start a record label?
I always wanted to start a label, or I had always wanted to start one, and I guess in high school I wanted to help my friends Protest the Hero release something, and right before, well, I don't know, right before, but I remember I was considering asking them, and they ended up signing with another label, let's say 6 months or so before I asked them. So that always like kind of bummed me out, and that was always something that I really wanted to do because I love music. And my grandfather gave me some money after he passed away, and I used that to start a label. That's why his picture is on the logo for the records.
Oh, that's his picture.
Yeah. So that's my grandfather's picture.
Cool.
Thanks.
Well, I must say, you have a very interesting roster of artists. One of them is, if I'm remembering correctly, Toronto's own Foxmoulder.
Yes, that's correct.
Explain your relationship with Foxmoulder.
It's I don't know. It's pretty close. I really love those guys. I've been seeing them live for. Well, I think the first show that I saw in Toronto when I started going to shows was a Foxmoulder Loma Prieta show, or just a Loma Prieta show put on by M from Foxmoulder. So ever since then, just realizing, hey, there's an actual Screamo band, in and around my area, so that's pretty cool. And then I just watched them progress and evolve musically, and the stuff that they just recorded that's being released soon, the split with Eagle Has Landed, is amazing. So, and I help them and talk to them with their other projects too, because they're in, Respire, and another one too. I guess they were in Worst Gift as well. So yeah, there were some associations from other bands too.
Interesting. Very interesting. You yourself also do interviews, am I remembering correctly?
Yeah, the whole like when I started the blog, I really wanted to do a lot of interviews because I felt like none of the bands, or very few of the bands, were getting attention. At least I think they deserve attention because I really enjoyed their music. So I just kind of asked a few, and I was really surprised at the percentage of bands that said yes when I asked them to do an interview. It was like 80% or something ridiculous like that. So I realized quickly that, hey, this is something that I could definitely continue to do. Just saw the readership go up on interviews as well on the blog, so just seemed like a good idea to continue doing that.
In one such interview, you got to interview a European Screamo band, The Death of Anna Karina.
Oh, yeah. That was one of my early ones.
How did you get in contact with them exactly?
Definitely through Facebook. You know what, I'm not 100% sure, because one of the guys who's in The Death of Anna Karina is also in an instrumental band that sounds kind of like Pelican, called Ornaments. So I know Ornaments contacted me about reviewing their new album. So I can't remember if it was from that or if one of them contacted me after they saw me post about the band. I don't remember, but yeah, that was I was really surprised when that happened, because Death of Anna Karina was a band that I listened to a lot, you know, back in like 2003, 2004, or whatever, when I first got their LP. There goes my wife.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of Anna Karina, there's another emo band which has what's what I'm looking for? Not an affinity for, but a band that references Anna Karina, Orchid.
Wait, so you mean the band Orchid?
Yes, I know you like them.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, I've been a big fan of them since pretty much I got into Screamo. So, yeah, it's been well over 10 years now that I've been listening to Orchid. Yeah, love those guys.
What got you into what got you into not only Screamo but the myriad of genres and subgenres in the hardcore punk alternative metals continuum? What got you into this type of music?
Man, I guess once I got into punk music, I was into skate punk like SoCal, skate punk like NoFX and No Use for a Name and all that jazz back in the late 90s. And then I eventually, through the Punkorama Epitaph compilations, I discovered Death by Stereo. And I remember thinking, I really like this guy's singing voice, but I don't like his screaming voice. And just over time, because I liked his singing voice so much and listening to the songs, I came to appreciate the screaming. And then I got into bands like Thrice. A lot of bands that did... whoa. Sorry. It was my cat.
It's alright.
Like the singing, screaming thing helps fall, and stuff like that. And that kind of bridged to the point where I enjoyed all screaming tracks as opposed to singing and screaming. Then I got into Blood Brothers, and then I saw something reviewed that sounded like Blood Brothers that was actually Transistor, which is, I would consider, the first, I guess, Screamo band that I ever listened to. And then because of that label, Level Plane Records, I checked out their entire roster. And, yeah, so I try to emulate, in a way, what Level Plane did, because that was definitely my number one inspiration as a music fan and as a label.
Very cool. What about Gravity Records?
To be honest, I don't know too much about Gravity Records. That's with, like, Heroin and, God, who else was on?
Antioch Arrow?
Yeah, I just picked up their LP. I really don't know many bands that are on that label. I just know it's instrumental, for the beginnings of a lot of the really, like hard, heavy stuff that had some connections to later Screamo, like Orchid and Union of Uranus or Uranus or whatever that band's called from Canada.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, so are you a big fan of Gravity Records? Like, what bands would you recommend besides Anti-Arrow and...
Off the top of my... Basically the entirety of Gravity Records' discography between 1989 to about 1994, 1995 basically characterizes the early the proto-Screamo bands within the San Diego scene. One band of descent in San Diego that I like, which is kind of in the later Gravity Records, is Swing Kids. Sorry.
Oh, Swing Kids was on there. Yeah, I definitely know Swing Kids.
So yeah, so basically like Heroin and Anti-Arrow, they're like the core people within the Gravity Records scene, but the entirety of their discography between 1989 to 1994, it's like the beginnings of something wonderful.
Yeah, they definitely influenced a lot of modern day stuff and stuff that came out in the early 2000s for sure.
Now, tell me, I've been meaning to ask you about the Hamilton music scene.
Oh, just a general...
Yes, tell me how, over the years that you've been going to shows and whatnot, would you say the Hamilton music scene has evolved?
To be honest, I'm still trying to get into the Hamilton music scene. I've only lived here now for 3 years, so I've only been putting on shows for like a year and a half, just over a year actually, so not that long. So I didn't really go to a lot of shows in Hamilton. I went to a lot of shows in Toronto because that's where Screamo shows and, the bands like Loma Prieta, who else did I see early on? Like Native, Ed Hockley. Those bands would go through the Toronto area, not the Hamilton area. So I went to a lot of shows out there, and without really knowing anything about the Hamilton scene, because I hadn't really gone to any shows here, I was like, this city, whatever city I'm in, should hear these bands because they're so awesome. So I started trying to just put shows on, and that came about mostly, again, through the blog. Bands just, I guess, knew I was in this area because of the Toronto show reviews, and they started hitting me up for shows, and I was able to tie that into trying to bring Toronto bands out here, and then I discovered a lot of Hamilton bands that are in the area, so I've been trying to book them, but I can say right now it's very hard to get Hamilton bands to book shows, and there's not a lot of Screamo here at all either. It's more of a metal, hardcore punk kind of scene, so it's been pretty hard to crack into it. But the people who come out to the shows are really, really enthusiastic, and they usually they've come out to more than one show. I usually see a fair amount of familiar faces, so I feel like there's a bit of a snowball effect going on, but it's only been 1 or 2 shows I think I've put on in the last 8 months or so I'm taking a break and just haven't really had any bands come through that wanted shows.
Fascinating. Now, tell me, Terry Green.
I knew that was going to come back at some point. Okay, so yeah, Terry Green are awesome dudes. I've known them for 2 years or so now. Probably, maybe even less than that. Since I started putting on shows, I heard they were kind of screamo-y, and they were from either Mississauga or Hamilton. I was very confused about their origins in the beginning, but then I realized one member is in Hamilton and the other one's in Mississauga. So I just booked them for a fair amount of shows. I've watched them, not a whole lot of progression because I've only seen them for like a year and a bit, but the progression that I have seen has been amazing. The songs that they've got coming up for a split cassette, I think, are awesome. They got 2 songs on that, and yeah, I've just seen them at a lot of shows. They support the local music scene. Just really nice guys. So yeah, I feel like they're on the up in terms of people knowing about them, and just if they stay together and keep releasing music the way they're doing, then they're definitely going to get a lot more attention, I think.
You did a distribution of their debut cassette, I believe.
Yeah, I grabbed a couple copies, like 5 or something, for their for my distro because I really like them. And I think I actually had someone request online, like, "Do you have Terry Green tapes?" And I was like, "I guess I need to get some." So I picked some up, and I've got pretty much everything. I got a CD that they released as well. And whenever this cassette comes out, I'm going to be grabbing some copies of that, or maybe even helping release something in the future with them. I'd certainly like to. Those guys are awesome.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Now, speaking of Mississauga, now as in terms of music, what do you know about the Mississauga music scene over the years?
Mississauga, pretty much nothing. You're going to have to enlighten me there.
Oh, I was kind of hoping you'd know more about bands from there.
No, I couldn't name one other band from there except for I think one of the band that Terry Green's doing a split with is also from
Huge Cosmic.
Okay, that's all I got.
You know Animal Faces.
Oh, technically they're from Mississauga. Okay, yeah. Oh, Animal Faces are absolutely fantastic.
And Soft Floors, which I discovered actually from your blog.
Oh, okay. I forgot they were. I always think of them as being from Toronto because all of the shows that I've seen them play have all been in Toronto. So I just associated them with that. Yeah, Soft Floors, very Animal Faces, but a little more raw and everything. So, glad you ended up liking that. That's awesome.
Yeah, we need more venues in this city.
Yeah, how many would you say that you have?
In Mississauga, beyond the occasional house show, beyond the occasional house show, we have a few halls, and we have a couple of bars. We don't really have that many shows in the bars that much. We have one venue that's really becoming popular now, the Cock and Pheasant. We have Cucullin's Pub, which always has open mic nights, and we'll have shows and poetry slams, and we have the Masonic Lodge, which, well, that's the main venue in Mississauga.
What's the population of Mississauga? Like, just in Mississauga, I don't even know what that is.
About 715,000, I think. Between 715,000 and 750,000.
Okay, so we've got just over 500,000, and it sounds like we've got probably as many venues as you, maybe even more, but some of the ones that I couldn't even mention are ones that don't play the music that, I would want to put on.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've got 750, that does not sound like that many venues. What's the primary genre of music that people dig in Mississauga? Would it be rock, rap, or metal, or country, or what's the deal there?
It's hard to describe really, because I mainly deal with the rock scene. I am aware of the hip-hop scene. We have an interesting hip-hop scene. There is a large electronic scene, apparently, if you look at the Bandcamp for Mississauga.
Oh, yeah?
The amount of electronic artists we have. In terms of rock, we have kind of scattered. So you'll have, like, a few emo bands, screamo bands. You'll have bands that kind of defy genre completely. You'll have more basic punk bands, and you'll have more of alternative rock bands. We have, I think, 1 or 2 pop bands. But most of the bands in Mississauga generally tend to defy genre in a way. Like, classic Billy Talent, right?
You mean just in general Billy Talent? Or do you mean...
Like, before they were Billy Talent, like Pez.
Oh, Pez?
Yeah.
I don't think I've actually heard them as they were, when they were Pez. I've just heard that they were Pez. So I've only actually heard Billy Talent.
Yeah, Pez's early music basically characterizes they don't really fall under one genre, so they have influence of ska, rap, punk, and I can't even begin to imagine what else they were fusing with their music. So
I didn't know it was so diverse.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be raw, simpler Billy Talent, but apparently not.
No, their sound was more wider. They actually became more concentrated when they became really talented, but before that they were. I don't really want to curse, but kind of a, excuse my French, clusterfuck of genres.
No, it's a great word.
And so yeah, a lot of bands in Mississauga tend to kind of, they'll fit into genres, but at the same time they won't. So they'll be doing a lot of subversive things in ways. But yeah, we don't really have any concentrated sound like San Diego sound, for example, or DC hardcore. But we do have.
I couldn't tell you what Hamilton's sound is either. I have no idea.
But we do have a scene, and everyone's kind of connected as well. So, if you go to a show, you'll see, for example, a pop act 1 hour, and then another hour you'll hear, for example, Terry Green, for example, screaming their lungs off. So, it's interesting, but close knit as well.
Awesome.
Now, speaking of emo, actually, you also started a Facebook group called Canadian Emo.
I didn't actually start that group.
Oh, you did?
No, that was a group that I just joined. Just, it's like dead. No one ever posts there.
Die.
So, I post stuff sometimes, but no, that wasn't me.
Wow, wow. Well, shame on my research skills.
I was probably added as an administrator or something. In fact, I'm nearly certain that I was, so my name probably showed up as administrator, so it makes sense that you would make that connection.
You were on tour recently.
Yeah, I just got back last week. A week ago today, actually. Discuss. Okay. I went on tour with it started off as like an internet project. This guy, Chris, he played in some bands like Makara and Yafa Koto and the Anasazi and Jenny Piccolo. And he's in Portland, Oregon, and after, I don't know, 6 months or so of writing stuff, he just asked me over Facebook if I wanted to do some vocals for it, so I started laying down tracks for that. We've recorded enough for like 3 splits or 4 splits or something like that, one of which has been released. So the first band that we're doing a split with asked us if we wanted to do a tour, so we were thinking of just doing like a drum machine on a computer and just, like, he does all the instrumentals and I just do vocals, so that didn't work out probably for the best, so I asked some friends of mine if they wanted to fill on bass and second guitar and drums, and that kind of half worked. So we had a 4-piece band, so we were able to tour. So the band's name is Miatej, or as people just say, because it's crazy Russian characters, Murtex. So we did like 9 shows in 10 days with our friends People's Temple Project from Long Island in New York. And I knew they were good and everything, but watching them play every night was amazing. Those guys are fucking awesome. So yeah, I'll be posting videos. I got like, I don't know, over 100 videos from tours. So every band I played with, I think I took a video of. So there's a whole bunch of bands that I'd never heard of, or bands that I'd heard of but hadn't seen. So yeah, that'll go up at some point. I'm gonna try to make like a 20-minute documentary of the tour. But I'm going back to school right now, and I'm working a job, so I don't know how long that'll take, but I'm definitely gonna get it done at some point.
Cool. I had been meaning to ask you, actually, I was meaning to ask you, what bands have you been in or are in over the years?
I mean, technically, that's pretty much it, save for the band's name was In Debt, like we owe money. It was a band I was in grade 12 in OAC, I think, of high school, with some friends who were younger than me and a guy I worked with. We played like pop punk, skate punk. I actually have like 11 songs on my computer recorded off a video camera in a basement. We played 2 shows, so that's the only other band that I played a show with, and then there's a solo project thing that I did for like 5 years with just bass and vocals, which was not very good. And then I also did vocals for my friend's band who never really played a show or anything. They just had 4 tracks recorded and they tossed them over to me, and I did vocals for 3 of them, which I actually really like. It's kind of Hope's Folly, but with no clean vocals because I can't sing. So yeah, so that's it. I mean, the 2 shows I played, those were in high school, so that was like 15 years ago. So yeah, not a whole lot of action on my end. I'm trying to get something else started in Hamilton though, but as per usual, no drummers.
I feel your pain.
It's frustrating.
I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
The correct answer was, Dave, I'm a drummer, and I live really close to Hamilton, but I guess that'll suffice.
Well, I can program drums.
That's a start, I can't.
And by default, read drum notation if that helps at all, I guess.
You can sit at the computer and just...
Yeah, it's not the same thing. It's not
No,
the
it's
same
not.
thing. Now, tell me, what new bands are you into?
There's a lot of new bands that I'm into. Just this month, even though I'm only doing 9 posts for the blog, all 9 of them are current bands, so, I mean, like that right there, there's like Truman, I'm posting them tonight, Wet Petals, Downfall of Gaia, Potence from Italy, or France, I forget. Oh God, there's so many. All the bands that I release, I listen to pretty consistently. So I've been listening to a lot of Coma Regalia. I got the new double 7-inch by them. I don't have the physical copies yet, but yeah, that'll be coming out in a couple of months or a month or 2, I don't know. That's really, really good. Yeah, so honestly, there's so many new bands. Like, if I looked on my computer right now, I could find well over 300 probably that I'm currently listening to that are really good.
Cool. What's the weirdest release you've ever done?
Weirdest. Well, yes, Keith. There was one release that I did that's not on like my Bandcamp or anything that I did early on. It's just a CD, but it's co-released with like 20 other labels, and I only ended up getting, I think, 10 copies of it, and like I like it and all, but I don't love it. Like everything else I release, I pretty much love because I wouldn't release it otherwise. But this was kind of early on, and I don't know, I guess in a way it's weird to have released something that I'm not trying to promote. Not trying to hide it either, like you can find it on the site. It's just, I don't know. It's, if you're going to purchase anything from Zegma Beach, there are better things to buy. So, I guess that would be my weirdest release just because I'm not super stoked on it like all my other stuff.
Alright.
But in terms of like packaging or anything like that, there's definitely some awesome releases, but I don't really feel like there's any weird ones or there's been any weird situations for the most part that have arose. Go with that one.
Hey, this is not an English class.
I can't help it. I'm an English teacher, so I'm trying my best. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But, yeah, so now I've got to be perfect.
Oh dear. What's the weirdest show you've ever attended?
I don't know about show, but the weirdest band, and it almost made the weirdest show, was White Ribs. I got the poster for it in my other room there. Yeah, they were from Toronto or maybe Mississauga. I don't know. The drummer ended up playing for Foxmoulder for at least a couple weeks or a couple months. But there's 2 guys, and they wore masks, I guess semi-inspired by the Locust or something, and they blasted feedback and just noise and like I was not on any drugs. I've never taken like acid or anything like that, but I felt like I was really like tripping watching that band. And then when they finished, they, band might, leave a note playing or whatever for 30 seconds. They left feedback blaring for 7 to 8 minutes. So we were waiting for Titan, I think, was going to go on next, for Titan to set up, and you couldn't talk to anyone. You're just like, I need to keep my earplugs in because this is messed up. But yeah, it was just a very surreal, like, drugged out. I felt like I was, it was weird. That was weird. Oh, and I saw Pretty Mouth, and the guy wore a mask, and it just made him look kind of like a serial killer. And there was a part when he fell over on the ground, or like purposely got on the ground and started laughing hysterically into the microphone with the mask on. I was like, wow, that's going to haunt my dreams. So that was pretty weird too, but in a good way, because that's what he was going for in a way, a bit of a shock value, I think, and it definitely worked.
Well, those are pretty weird.
Relatively weird. I don't know. I'm sure there's I've heard like fight stories and stuff like that from other people, so they're pretty tame, but weird, I guess, nonetheless.
Well, interesting. Hearing about the masks also reminds me, yes, of the Locust, but also like the Vulcan Dub Squad.
I've never heard them before, nor seen them.
They were a Brampton band that was around from the early '90s all the way until 2007. They had a string of...
What was the band name again?
The Vulcan Dub Squad.
Okay.
For a good portion of their lifespan, they were very theatrical. They wore masks, had stage theatrics. It was very interesting, to say the least. And their releases were very far-reaching. It'd go from ambient, shoegazy, post-rock to garage rock to I don't know what they were doing after. That's like what the releases were like until 2007 when they broke up.
That's a pretty long time to stay together too for a band that does that kind of crazy stuff. I guess they must have had a few releases.
Yes, you can actually find them all on Bandcamp now.
Vulcan Dub
Squad.
Okay.
Pretty cool. When I heard masks. Okay. Now, Seinfeld.
How did that come up? Did I do a Seinfeld? Oh, I'd probably done it in the blog, maybe. I don't know.
You like Seinfeld? I
love Seinfeld.
Why? What about Seinfeld appeals to you?
I don't know. Everything. Just, I grew up watching it. It used to be on like City TV and stuff at like 7 and 10 o'clock, and I would watch both episodes. Sometimes they were the same episode, and I'd still watch them twice. Watch it with my dad. We quoted. There's so many instances of things that happen in that show that you can relate to in real life, and you can laugh about it. And there's like so many times where something happens. I say 3 words from the show, and like my brother and my dad are just laughing because they're like, "Yeah, I know what he's talking about." So I don't know. It's almost like a different language in a way, like The Simpsons is for I think some people in my generation, like myself. So like those 2 shows were very influential, definitely to shape who I think I am as a person and my humor. So yeah, Seinfeld good.
Very good. Very good indeed. Now, tell me about what would you say about the Southern Ontario post-hardcore scene as a whole? The music, in the post-hardcore continuum that we make in Southern Ontario. How would you say that it is, say, different or unique compared to, say, other scenes across, say, North America or Europe?
That's difficult. That's a big question because there's like, what kind of sounds are there? Like, what kind of like, how positive is the scene? How active are the people? Labels or anything like supporting over there? So I don't know. One of the things that comes to mind first is just the fact that there was the influence of Alexis on Fire being pretty much from our area, and Protest the Hero as well. Two of the biggest Canadian bands in, not rock, but, you know, heavy rock, metal, or whatever you would want to call it. And I think you could definitely make the argument that the first Blessed on Fire album has elements of Screamo in it as well, so you could even say emo Screamo as well for that. And, like, just how big those bands got, though they must have, I'm sure they've influenced a lot of the acts that have come after. So I think geographical proximity to big, influential Canadian bands has definitely helped the scene around here, or scenes. I'll go with that as the first answer.
Okay. Okay. You also, I remember also, you were on your blog, you had posted about two bands from Ottawa, Shopmaker and For the Mathematics.
Mm-hmm. I haven't done any reviews or anything for Shopmaker. I'm going to have to, as well as there's a couple other bands from that area that I've got to review still that I just haven't had time to. You are forgetting about Van Johnson. They were from Ottawa. If you've never heard them, if you are a fan of Terry Green, they're gonna blow your socks off because the vocals are pretty much the same as Adrian's, but it's more. Well, first of all, they had a split with Chaos Pilot as well from Norway or something. I forget where they're from. But yeah, definitely check out Van Johnson from Ottawa, and I interviewed them as well. And Big Dick is from Ottawa as well. But Shotmaker, you know what? I don't know all that much about Shotmaker. I've got some of their MP3s, but I've got to get their discography, and I need to go through that. That's definitely one that's a big, influential past band that I just haven't really had time to listen to, that I need to.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go on. Sorry, go.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was about to say, actually, from reading about them, I decided I listened to some of their songs. It's cool. It's similar to actually what went on in San Diego around the same time they were active. But please continue what you were saying.
Oh, I was just going to say that For the Mathematics is amazing. We already touched on them earlier, but I mean, for a band that only released 2 records, EPs, and whether or not they were going for like a Mars Volta at the drive-in thing, like they, maybe because of the time span of Mars Volta releasing records and eventually just going down, in my opinion, For the Mathematics, they might have released better material, considering their age, and they didn't have, past bands at the drive-in to, lean on, Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I don't know if you know about their other bands. The singer also went on to Higher Rights after that band.
I heard about that. I haven't actually gotten to check out the other bands yet, though.
That's the only one that I know of. If there are other bands, you need to let me know. But definitely check out Higher Rights, because it's pretty much For the Mathematics slowed down a little bit with a more melody and less chaos, but it's still really, really good.
Chaos is me. I like it. Very interesting. Alright, let's see. Yes. Now, this question is, it's one question, but it's kind of free. Your first record, the first record that you ever bought, the first record that really just kind of got you into music in general, and the first record that you ever put out.
Okay, so there's 2. So the first record that got me into music and the first record that I put out, or was there more than that?
And the first record that you put out, the first
that
record
I bought?
Yeah.
That I just bought?
Yeah,
okay.
And got you, in the music and stuff.
Okay. By record, do you mean vinyl record or just album?
Album.
Release. Okay.
Unless, of course, the two, coincide. Go on.
No, I don't think they coincide. The first music thing that I remember is listening to Monster Mash on my parents' headphones in the family room, and getting to the part with the monsters and crying at least a couple times when I listened to it because it scared me. That's my first musical experience that I remember. First album I released was Amber. Amber's self-titled 5-song LP, I guess. That's a really amazing record. That was already released like 2 years ago digitally and on CD, but I was like, I don't care. This record is so amazing, and you guys are willing to work with me. I want to put that out, so I did, and it's amazing. And then, well, Seisha's, there's a couple. White Zombies, Astro Creep, 2000, everything by Nada Surf, Neil Perry's discography, Blood Brothers were a very, very big band for me. That got me into like really crazy high-pitched screaming. My Friends in Protest a Hero influenced me a lot during the early years. So yeah, there's a lot. But I guess if there was the biggest one would be NoFX. Because NoFX is what got me into punk back in 1997. And if I didn't get into NoFX, then I wouldn't have gotten into any of the stuff I don't think that I'm into now. So definitely NoFX would be the most influential band in terms of what made me as a musical person or whatever.
Cool. Very cool. Now, as we discussed earlier, you do promoting. Now, when did you start doing promoting and booking shows exactly? What would you say the hardest part for doing that is?
Well, I started in like April, I think, of 2014, maybe 2013, but I think 2014. And the hardest part about putting on shows is, well, there's you think it'd be easy, or I thought it would be relatively easy. Like, you just call up the venue, you're like booking 2 months in advance, they say, oh yeah, sure, and then you ask like 5 bands, all those bands say yes, and then they tell all their friends, and you get like 100 people out to a show, but no, not even close to that. So the hardest part is definitely getting people out to the shows. Even though I put up flyers and try to blast Facebook every once in a while for the shows, it's so hard to get people to come to shows. I've got a show next week with a band coming in from Mexico, Joliet, and they're awesome. And I'm frightened that we're not going to have enough people at the show, to warrant them ever want to come back. So I really hope that we can get people out to that show, because got to prove we have Hamilton hospitality to get more good shows here.
Cool. Now, would you mind if I made some suggestions for bands to feature for your blog?
Sure. I was going to write it down, but then I realized that this is going to be posted. I can just watch it. Yeah, just hold on 1 second.
Oh, nice Evil Dead poster.
There's 4 of them. They're it's from the musical that went on. So we went to like 3 or 4 of the shows. We ended up getting all the posters, which are all amazing, especially the Mamma Mia one. But yeah, you were going to give me bands that I should check out to review. So lay it on me.
Well, these are just a few These are basically just a few Mississauga bands. They're in the they're in the post-hardcore continuum. Strawman Fallacy.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them before. M from Foxmoulder has told me. I'm pretty sure about those guys.
They're cool. Who else was there? Oh yes, then there was the Love and Terror Cult.
Who?
The Love and Terror Cult.
Okay, I've never heard of them before.
Yeah, they're actually one of the few bands who, when I first listened to their music, it actually scared me. It's that intense.
Alright.
Yeah,
I will make sure I've got a teddy bear with me when I listen to that.
They were around from 2005 to 2010. You can find their discography on Bandcamp, actually.
Oh, screw that. You are sending me all of this stuff. I'm way too lazy. You're just send it to me in an email or a Facebook message. I don't care.
Sure, they also did a split with Strawman Fallacy as well.
Oh, perfect. That'd be great if I could just get that one and then I could hear both bands.
Who else was there? Then there was Dance Electric, by NJ and Theo from, Strawman Fallacy. They formed that. They're kind of a obtuse, dance punk fusion with post-hardcore, except more screamy post-hardcore than, dance punk per se.
Have you ever heard of Dance Disaster Movement?
No.
I'm going to review them at some point. I could see you liking them. That sounds a lot like this what are they called? Dance what?
Dance Electric.
Dance Electric, yeah.
Yeah,
sounds like it's almost similar. But yeah, that sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, they also did a Ramones thing where all the members had the name Electric as a last name while they performed. The drummer Tori Electric, she also became the drummer for Witches.
Oh, I just asked those guys to play a show, which they could not do. But I really want to see them live because I've heard good things.
Then there was Peace Be Still.
I've heard that name before, but I've never heard the band.
Yeah.
What kind of music do they play?
Not really fast paced. More mid-paced speed. Post-hardcore with shouting vocals. Very interesting, actually. They're currently on a tour. They've just where they went across America. They just made it back to like the Midwest, Southern Ontario region.
Okay.
So
yeah, you have to send me that stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, they're pretty cool. Yeah, those are just some Mississauga bands in like the post-hardcore continuum that are kind of fun to check out.
Yeah, it's crazy how many awesome bands there are. Like, there's too many awesome bands.
And what else? Oh yes, and then there was one other band, Other Families.
I haven't heard them before.
They're hard to describe. They fuse everything from screamo to post-hardcore, electronica to hip hop to the really underground, odd hip hop you can imagine, and it's all fused together, and so it's very interesting. And then there's Yonder Peak, which isn't really screamo or post-hardcore, but they are like this very progressive punk band where you don't know what one song's going to do. My mind went kind of crazy listening to their songs at first, so that's basically some bands I'd recommend from Mississauga.
Alright, well, yeah, I need bands for shows, so I'll definitely hit up at least one of those bands, I'm sure, in the near future.
Yes. Well, any bands you want to recommend for me? About the top of your head.
Well, honestly, when people ask me now, I'm pretty much just like, just go check them out. Because every band that I post is awesome. Like, I don't post crap. I don't see the point of wasting internet time or time in general telling people, this band is not good. Why don't you tell me a band that you do think is good? And then I can go listen to it. So, God, there's so many. I mean, the one that I'm going to post tonight, Truman, they're awesome. They're really, really good, and they're a young band. Definitely check out People's Temple Project. I think the early recordings don't do them justice, but the stuff off their split with us sounds pretty awesome, and oh man, they're killer live. Via Fondo is from Sweden, and they're definitely my favorite band at the moment, or have been for the last 2 or 3 years. I've released their last 2 things. Definitely check out Via Fondo. The new Foxmoulder split is awesome. Foxmoulder and Eagle Has Landed are both fantastic. Yeah, there's a million more things. Just check the blog. And just check everything that I released because it's all good. So that's what I'd recommend.
All right. And now...
Self-promotion.
Nothing's wrong with self-promotion.
I release the stuff because it's good. You know, I'm not trying to make money off this stuff, and I don't make money off this stuff. So it's just like, trust me, this is a good band. Just check it out.
All right. Well, my final question for you is, am I cooler than Larry King?
Larry King?
Yes.
From CNN?
Yes.
Oh my god, yes. If Larry King was asking me questions, first of all, I'd be really confused. And then second of all, I wouldn't have asked him any questions back. What's the scene like where you are, Larry? I hear about a whole bunch of crap I wouldn't want. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, David, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, thank you so much. Definitely, I got 3 shows coming up in Hamilton, so come on out to the show. I'll buy you a drink or give you a CD or something.
Any last words for the people?
Just go to shows, check out local music. Even though I don't really release a lot of local music, you should still check it out because chances are there's some awesome bands where you are. I guess that's it.
All right. Cool. Bye.